my wife demanded. "You will change your last name to mine. Our baby deserves better." She said this at her parents' estate, confident I was trapped by her pregnancy. I calmly agreed to her demand. I just had one condition of my own. A simple paternity test. The baby is not mine, don't miss the twist. Subscribe to the channel and be part of the journey. I, Lucas, 38, male, had been with Isabel, 35, for 8 years, married for 6. Our life was a carefully staged production set in the world of Maryland politics. We lived in a historic home in Annapolis, a property owned by her family's trust. I was a sound engineer and mixer for political documentaries, a niche craft that earned me a quiet $100,000 a year. My work was my passion, a world of subtle frequencies and nuanced storytelling. Isabel was the daughter of a powerful state senator, and her job, as far as I could tell, was to be a perfect political wife in training. Our lifestyle was dictated by her family's ambitions. Our evenings were a blur of fundraisers, donor dinners, and strategic social events. I was the stable, artistic husband, a charmingly unconventional accessory for a rising political dynasty. Her friends were the sons and daughters of other powerful families, a circle of people who saw my career as a quaint, harmless hobby. A month before her shocking demand, I had received the opportunity of a lifetime. A world-renowned film director, known for his visually stunning epics, had seen my work on a small, independent documentary. He offered me the position of lead sound designer for his next major feature film. The job meant a move to Los Angeles and a salary of $180,000. But more importantly, it was a chance to create art on a massive scale. I told Isabel, my heart pounding with a hope I hadn't felt in years. She had just announced her pregnancy a few weeks prior, and I saw this as a new beginning for all of us. Her reaction was a cool, dismissive smile. "Los Angeles. To play with your little microphones?" she had asked, her hand resting on her stomach. "Our child's future is here, Lucas. In a world of substance and stability." "This is a huge career move, Izzy," I had argued. "Your career is to support me, and this family," she had replied, her voice leaving no room for discussion. "Your father-in-law has plans for you here." She saw my dream not as an achievement, but as a foolish act of rebellion against the more important destiny her family had planned for us. Update 1. I told her I would turn down the offer. I let her and her powerful father believe they had won. But the next morning, I quietly sent an email to the director's production company. I accepted the position, explaining that I needed 2 months to handle a complex family matter. Isabel, buoyed by her victory, became more imperious than ever. "Lucas is finally realizing his responsibilities," she would tell her friends at the yacht club. "He understands that his little projects are not as important as the family legacy." Her friends would nod, their expressions a perfect blend of condescension and pity. While she was planning the nursery, I was planning my escape. I opened a new bank account with a national bank. I began methodically documenting the financial support I had provided her over the years, a steady stream of my income that had disappeared into the vague category of household expenses. I was acting on a cold, growing suspicion, an instinct that the life I was living was not just a performance, but a fraud. I just didn't know how deep the fraud went. Update 2. The confrontation was her design, a public coronation of her family's power. It happened during Sunday brunch at her parents' sprawling waterfront estate. She had just finished opening a series of lavish baby gifts. Her father, the senator, stood to make a toast to the future of their family, and to his future grandchild, the heir to the dynasty. Then, Isabel turned to me, her eyes glittering with a cold, triumphant light. This is when she demanded that I change my last name to hers. Her family and friends all smiled, a silent, expectant chorus. They saw it as the final, logical step in my complete absorption into their world. They believed the baby was the ultimate checkmate. I looked at her, at the woman who saw me not as a partner, but as a component to be rebranded. And in that moment, I felt a profound, liberating calm. I calmly agreed to her demand. But I had one condition. A simple paternity test. The silence that fell over the perfectly manicured lawn was absolute. Isabel's face went white. Her father's smile froze, then curdled into a mask of pure fury. The choice was not about a name or a career. It was about my own soul. And I had just bought it back. Update 3. The fallout was a political and familial firestorm. Isabel and her family tried to control the narrative, painting me as a cruel, unstable man who had publicly humiliated his pregnant wife. My phone was a constant barrage of angry, threatening calls from her father's aides. I did not respond. I moved out that afternoon. I packed my sound equipment, my clothes, and my books. I left the historic house and the life of quiet desperation it represented. I drove to the airport and flew to Los Angeles, leaving them to deal with the quiet, devastating truth that was about to unfold. My new life in Los Angeles was a world of focused, creative energy. I moved into a simple, modern apartment in Culver City, a short drive from the studio. The work on the film was all-consuming. I was collaborating with the best artists in the world, building entire soundscapes from scratch. I was not a political accessory, I was an artist, and I was home. Update 4. My work on the film was a quiet success. The director was thrilled with my innovative approach to sound design. I was building a new reputation, one based on my own talent, not on my wife's family name. Back in Annapolis, the truth had come out. The paternity test had revealed what I already knew in my gut. The father of Isabel's baby was a young, ambitious political aide from a rival family. The scandal was a quiet, catastrophic explosion in the closed, insular world of Maryland politics. After 6 months in Los Angeles, the studio, thrilled with my work, gave me an unexpected $50,000 bonus. I used it to hire the best divorce lawyer in Maryland. The game had changed. I was no longer on the defensive. Update 5. The first trailer for the film was released. It was a visual and sonic masterpiece, and the sound design was singled out for praise by industry insiders. A major film trade magazine did a feature on the movie's groundbreaking sound, with a profile on me, the new voice, in cinematic audio. My name, once a whisper at political fundraisers, was now a headline. The story, of course, reached Isabel. The emails began, a desperate flood of remorse and revisionist history. She had been a victim of her father's ambition. The affair had been a meaningless mistake. She had always loved me. My own family, who had been kept at a distance by Isabel's snobbery, rallied to my side. My father, a quiet, retired schoolteacher, called me, his voice thick with pride. "We saw the article, son," he said. "We always knew you were a star." Update 6. She appeared at the studio gates in Los Angeles. She had lost weight, and her eyes held a desperate, hunted look. She had the baby with her, a silent, tiny prop in her final, desperate performance. "Lucas," she said, her voice a soft, practiced plea. "I made a terrible mistake. Please, we can be a family." I met her at the gate, a quiet, impassable boundary. "We were never a family, Isabel," I said, my voice calm and even. "We were a political merger, and the terms of the deal have changed. He's just a baby," she whispered, gesturing to the carrier. "Yes, he is," I replied. "And he deserves a father. But that man is not me. You demanded that this child deserve better. I suggest you go find him." I turned and walked back into the studio, leaving her standing outside the gates of a world she could not enter. Update 7. Her final act was a desperate legal maneuver. She sued for a massive spousal support settlement, claiming that my new, higher income was a marital asset she was entitled to. Her lawyers tried to paint me as a wealthy film industry insider who had abandoned his wife and child. My lawyer dismantled her case with a quiet, brutal efficiency. He presented the court with the results of the paternity test. He presented evidence of the affair. He presented the prenuptial agreement she had insisted I sign, an agreement that protected her family's assets, but also, it turned out, my own future earnings in the event of infidelity. The judge not only denied her claim but, citing her profound and calculated deception, awarded me a summary divorce with no further financial obligations. Update 8. A year later, the film was released to massive critical and commercial success. It was nominated for multiple Academy Awards, including one for Best Sound. My life was a world away from the one I had left behind. I was in a new relationship with a woman named Anya, the film's brilliant and witty screenwriter. Our life was a quiet, happy collaboration of two creative minds. I received one last, long, rambling email from Isabel. Her father had lost his re-election campaign, the scandal having been the final nail in the coffin of his career. The young political aide had refused to leave his own wife. She was a single mother, living in a small condo, her life of privilege and power a distant memory. The email was a bitter, self-pitying story of a life that had been ruined. I deleted it without a reply. Final update: a few months ago, I was at the Academy Awards ceremony. I did not win, but the nomination itself was a dream come true. During the reception, a man approached me. It was a well-known political journalist, a man who had covered Isabel's father for years. "I followed your story," he said, shaking my hand. "The whole sordid mess back in Maryland. I just wanted to say, I've seen a lot of people in my line of work who were destroyed by that family's ambition. You're the only one I've ever seen who walked out of the fire, not just alive, but stronger." His words were a final, quiet validation. The lesson I had learned was about the nature of legacy. Some people believe it is a thing you inherit, a name you are given. But a true legacy is something you build, one honest day's work at a time. It is the quiet, unshakable integrity of your own name, a name that no one can give you, and that no one can ever take away.